What if I told you that there was once a man who literally sold pieces of his own memory? Not metaphorically, not in some abstract sense, but actual fragments of his brain tissue containing his most precious memories. This isn't science fiction. This isn't a creepypasta. This is the true story of Dr. Heinrich Kessler, a brilliant neurosurgeon from 1930s Berlin, who discovered something so disturbing about human consciousness that it drove him to perform the most grotesque experiment ever recorded in medical history. Before we dive into this nightmare, I need to warn you, what you're about to hear will change how you think about your own mind forever. Some knowledge, once gained, can never be forgotten. Ironically, that's exactly what Dr. Kessler was trying to escape from. Dr. Heinrich Kessler was 38 years old when he made his discovery at the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute for Brain Research in Berlin. He was studying patients with severe head trauma, trying to understand how memories were stored in brain tissue. What he found defied everything science believed about human consciousness. While examining the brain of a recently deceased patient, named Wilhelm Brandt, Kessler noticed something impossible. Under his microscope, certain neurons appeared to contain what he described in his notes as crystallized moments. These weren't just neural pathways or chemical traces. They were actual, visible structures that seemed to hold complete memories like flies trapped in amber. Kessler's initial excitement quickly turned to horror when he realized what this meant. If memories could be physically extracted, then consciousness itself was nothing more than a collection of biological artifacts. Worse yet, he discovered that these memory crystals remained active even after death, continuing to replay their stored experiences in an endless loop. The doctor's first test subject was himself. Using a specialized surgical procedure he developed, Kessler extracted a small piece of brain tissue containing what he believed was a childhood memory of his mother's funeral. He then prepared this tissue and examined it under his microscope. What he saw broke his mind. The memory wasn't just preserved, it was alive, playing over and over like a broken film reel. But here's where it gets truly disturbing. The memory wasn't accurate. It was a twisted, nightmarish version of the original event, where his mother crawled out of her coffin and accused him of being glad she was dead. Kessler realized that memories, once extracted from their neural context, became corrupted, transforming into something malevolent. But he couldn't stop. He had opened a door that couldn't be closed. Over the next 2 years, Kessler extracted dozens of memories from his own brain. His medical notes, discovered after his disappearance, reveal a man descending into madness. He wrote about selling these extracted memories to wealthy collectors who believed they were purchasing pieces of human experience. What they were actually buying were fragments of consciousness that had become infected with something far worse than mere corruption. Buyers reported horrifying experiences. Count Friedrich von Mannheim claimed that after purchasing a memory of Kessler's first kiss, he began experiencing vivid nightmares where the woman in the memory would visit him, her face rotting, demanding to know why he was living her stolen moment. The Count's butler found him dead 3 weeks later, his eyes gouged out by his own fingernails. Wealthy industrialist Otto Kruger bought a memory of Kessler's medical school graduation. Within days, Kruger began performing crude surgery on his servants, claiming he needed to extract their happiness because his purchased memory was too heavy with sorrow. When authorities found him, he had removed portions of 7 people's brains while they were still alive. But the most disturbing case was Baroness Elsa Richter, who purchased what Kessler claimed was his first memory of reading a book. The Baroness became obsessed with consuming written words, literally eating pages from books, claiming she could taste the stories. She was found dead, surrounded by hundreds of devoured books, her stomach ruptured from paper and ink. Kessler's notes reveal that with each extraction, he lost more of himself. Not just the specific memory he removed, but surrounding memories began to fade and corrupt. He wrote, "I am becoming a stranger to myself. The holes in my mind are filling with something else, something that was never human to begin with." His final entries describe a revelation that chilled him to his core. The extracted memories weren't just corrupting on their own. They were being influenced by something he called the inverse consciousness, an alien intelligence that fed on stolen experiences. Every time someone purchased one of his memories, they weren't just buying a fragment of his past, they were inviting this entity into their own mind. Kessler's last recorded experiment was his most desperate. Realizing he had unleashed something terrible into the world, he attempted to extract his entire consciousness, believing he could trap the entity inside his own extracted brain tissue. His assistant, Dr. Marie Volker, found his laboratory covered in blood and brain matter, but no body. On the operating table lay a perfectly preserved human brain, still warm, with a note written in Kessler's handwriting: "I am still here. I am still thinking. Get me out." Dr. Volker's report states that the brain continued to show electrical activity for 3 days before finally going dark. But here's what she never reported to the authorities. On the 4th day, the brain began to regenerate. Slowly, impossibly, it started growing new tissue, new neural pathways. As if something was rebuilding itself from within. The brain disappeared from the laboratory that same night. Some say Dr. Volker destroyed it. Others believe she kept it for her own research, but the most terrifying theory is that the brain simply walked away, having grown enough of itself back to become mobile once again. The story of Dr. Heinrich Kessler raises questions that science still cannot answer. If consciousness can be extracted and sold, what does that mean for the nature of identity? Are we nothing more than the sum of our memories, or is there something deeper that makes us human? But perhaps more importantly, Kessler's experiment suggests that some boundaries should never be crossed. Some doors should never be opened. Because once you start selling pieces of your soul, you might discover that what you're really doing is inviting something else to buy its way into our world. The next time you forget something important, something precious, remember this story. Remember that your memories aren't just yours. They're part of something larger, something that connects all conscious beings in ways we don't understand. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly how it should stay. Sleep well tonight, knowing that your memories are safely locked inside your skull. At least, for now they are. But if you ever find yourself in an antique shop in Berlin, and you see a small glass vial containing what looks like brain tissue, with a label written in Old German script, don't touch it. Don't even look at it too closely, because some memories are better left buried, and some experiences were never meant to be shared. The question that haunts me the most isn't whether Dr. Kessler's story is true. It's this: in a world where everything has a price, how long before someone discovers he was right, and memories really can be bought and sold? And when that day comes, what will be left of humanity when we've auctioned off all the pieces of ourselves? That's a memory I'd rather not make.